Well, scores of Democrats voted for a bill today that critics say would effectively undo Obamacare. And Charles Krauthammer says that is because liberals are panicked about this law for good reason. Charles is a Fox News contributor, a syndicated columnist, and author of the book Things That Matter, which is now #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. Charles, great to see you. And why? Why are they now in a panic?
Because I think there's so much at stake ideologically. Obama is an extremely ideologically ambitious president, and he represents kind of a third the burst of liberalism. You had the New Deal with FDR, the Great Society with LBJ, where Obama sees himself as the reviver of this idea of government as the central engine of progress, as the central engine of fairness, as the central engine of society itself. So he's the guy who's going to be the Robin Hood. Government that takes from the rich, it taxes the rich and gives to the middle class. Government that will create from scratch, by its own will, a green energy industry run on solar and wind and algae. And then, of course, the centerpiece, the symbol, the embodiment of this new kind of liberalism, Obamacare, government that will take care of you and your family and control your health care. This Obamacare is the central element of that. And it's the one that affects everyone's lives intimately. It's not an abstraction like a Solyndra.
Right.
It's the real stuff in your real life. And it is now in collapse. If it continues, unless it is somehow rescued and they make it work, this will be a story of an epic collapse of the central element of a new kind of liberalism. And this ideology will go down with the policy. That's why liberals are so afraid of this thing collapsing, and they are in horror at the train wreck that they are now witnessing.
I know, we just talked in the A block about Nancy Pelosi coming out and basically just once again denying reality. The president has admitted what he said was not accurate. She won't even admit that. And so the deception goes on.
And it's self-deception. I once practiced psychiatry, and this is classic denial. They simply can't face the fact this is actually happening. The worst part of it for them is this. They were able to pass this and pretend it would help everybody. It wouldn't cost the government a dime. Remember, that was the promise. This was the ultimate free lunch. You insure 50 million, 40 million uninsured. Everybody gets freebies, free mammograms, free birth control, free everything. And now it's become very obvious to all the American people that that was a fraud, and the deception was that you would be the one who would pay the freight through these hidden subsidies, through being thrown off your own insurance into exchanges where you would be compelled to purchase the kind of insurance you don't need, you don't want, but it's so expensive that it creates a surplus with which the government will subsidize others. So the payment was hidden, the deception is there. They know that Americans can now see that, and once you take away the veil, the emperor looks rather unclothed.
And what does the president do now? He's got a 39% approval rating, the lowest ever. The American people, by a majority, do not trust him. Can he get back?
I would recommend prayer. Right now, there is the reason that this is a calamity. It's not like the IRS scandal. It's a day or two or three or a week, bad press, and then it's over. It doesn't have legs. This thing is going to live for days and weeks ahead. Think of all the deadlines, all the dates ahead of us. The end of November, beginning of when you're going to have to, we're promised the website's going to work. January the 1st, where all of this kicks in. The end of March, when people have to enroll. You've got all this happening. It is unstoppable, and you can't escape the story. It's a story every day. And that's why it's a nightmare, and that's why you get a Pelosi who goes into a fantasy land of denial and pretends nothing ever happened.
Charles, great to see you.
Pleasure.